Nothing stays buried forever. Not the truth, not the past, and definitely not the secrets hiding beneath Black Ridge Valley. People here think the oil keeps their world alive, but they do not know that the same ground they walk on is holding something much darker than greed. Something that was never meant to be found. And the moment one secret slips out, even by accident, everything they believe in begins to crumble. The valley wakes before the sun, and even in darkness, the machines never stop. Their heavy noise rolls across the land like thunder that refuses to fade. The air is thick with the smell of oil, dust, and a strange sense of waiting, as if the place itself is holding its breath. Black Ridge Valley is not a normal town. People come here chasing money, looking for a fresh start, or trying to escape their old life. But soon they learn that the valley does not welcome anyone. It only tolerates them. The town stands small and worn out beside the giant steel arms of the oil rigs, which tower over everything like silent guards. Everyone works for the same company, the Black Gold Corporation, whether they want to or not. The people move in the same rhythm every day, eyes down, steps steady, faces tired. They are there, but it often feels like they are shadows rather than living humans. You can feel a quiet agreement among them: never ask questions, never dig deeper, and never look into places marked forbiddens. But secrets have a way of whispering through cracked doors and weak fences. Stories spread through the workers, soft enough to avoid being heard by the wrong ears, but sharp enough to cut through even the strongest silence. Some say the corporation was built on lies. Others say the land was never theirs to touch. A few claim to have heard sounds under the ground, something moving, something alive, but no one speaks openly about it. In Black Ridge Valley, losing your job is equal to losing your life, so people swallow their fear and pretend they did not notice anything strange. Yet the valley notices them. It watches. It listens. And when someone tries to leave, the valley gives no answers, only more confusion. Roads seem to stretch longer than before. Compasses spin wrong, and even the sky looks dimmer. Many return before reaching the edge, saying the valley pulled them back. Whether it is real or imagination, no one knows. But everyone feels trapped. The corporation feeds this fear, keeping the town dependent on their promises of money, safety, and order. Their posters hang everywhere, showing clean images of smiling workers that look nothing like the real ones. Their messages always say the same thing: trust us. But trust is the one thing no one in the valley truly has. Especially now, because in the quiet hours before dawn, when the lights on the rigs flicker and the machines cough like they are choking, something unusual has started to happen. Wells that were declared dead months ago are suddenly overflowing again, as if something beneath the ground has woken up. Workers report odd vibrations under their boots, like a heartbeat. And the corporation's officials rush around faster than ever, holding briefcases tight against their chests, whispering to each other behind locked doors. Rumors spread that the company found something during their drilling, something they want to hide at all costs. No one knows what it is, but everyone feels the change. It is in the air, in the soil, and in the uneasy silence that falls whenever the machines pause for even a second. Something is coming. Something big. And the valley feels different, alive in a way it should not be. The ground is restless, and the truth is pushing upward, ready to break through no matter who tries to stop it. In a place like Black Ridge Valley, secrets travel quietly, but on this particular night, one secret decided to run. Inside the cold metal halls of the Black Gold Corporation's main building, something unusual happened, something that would shake the valley far more than any earthquake. A single file slipped out of the company's tight grip, taken by someone whose footsteps left no echo and whose face no camera ever caught. No one knows who they are. Some call them a worker tired of the lies. Others believe they're an outsider brought in for a purpose, but whoever this person is. They walked straight into a room that even high-level staff avoid. A restricted archive room locked with codes, guards, and rules written in the kind of language that promises real trouble. Yet the door opened as if it had been waiting for them all along. Inside, rows of sealed boxes and old files collected dust, and touched for years. But the thief didn't search blindly. They went straight to a single drawer, almost as if they already knew exactly what they needed. A thin file folder marked with a symbol that didn't belong to any department. Inside were papers filled with diagrams, unreadable black marks, and reports stamped with the word classified over and over again. But the true danger was the final page, a map of the valley with a massive circle drawn beneath the soil, larger than anything a drill had ever reached. Words scribbled along the edges said things no one in the valley would believe if they ever had the chance to see them. As the file slipped into the thief's bag, alarms suddenly cracked through the building like lightning. Red lights flashed, doors sealed, guards rushed down hallways. But the thief was already gone, swallowed by the darkness outside. No one saw their face, only the shape of a figure moving fast between the shadows of the rigs, their breath sharp, their heartbeat louder than the alarms behind them. And while the corporation panicked inside, pretending everything was under control, the real problem had already begun. Word of the break-in spread quietly among the workers the next morning. They didn't talk openly, but their eyes shared the same question: who would be brave enough to risk everything? The corporation tried to bury the incident, sending out fake announcements saying it was just a technical fault, but no one believed that. Not after seeing officials march around the rigs with tense shoulders and nervous eyes. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And the workers could feel it. The valley could feel it. Strange movements started beneath the ground, subtle but growing stronger each day. The air felt thicker, like the valley was holding something inside. Every person who worked near the older wells reported hearing odd sounds, deep, distant, like something breathing miles below. And the corporation increased security, not to protect the people, but to protect the truth they feared would escape. The stolen file became a ghost among the workers, a rumor that refused to die. Some whispered that it contained proof the company had awakened something ancient beneath the valley. Others said it showed evidence of a disaster the corporation covered up years ago. But the most frightening rumor was the one no one dared to say too loudly, that the map in the file wasn't showing where the danger started, but where it would rise. And somewhere in the valley, the thief who now carried this truth hid in silence, trying to decide what to do next, knowing the corporation would stop at nothing to find them. Because once a secret like this escapes, nothing stays hidden forever. The valley's calm began to crack the moment the corporation realized the file was truly gone. Their fear spread quickly, not through words, but through tension in the air, the kind that presses on your skin like a storm about to break. The enforcer arrived the next morning, a figure known only by their silent presence and the cold, controlled way they move. No one knew their real name or where they came from, but everyone knew one thing. Once the enforcer stepped into Black Ridge Valley, it meant the corporation believed the threat was serious. Workers watched from a distance as the enforcer walked through the camp with slow, sharp steps, studying every corner, every shadow, as if the ground itself was lying to them. They carried no weapon in sight, yet people pulled back as if they did. The supervisors followed behind, trying to look confident, but their voices shook when they spoke. The hunt had begun, and the valley felt it immediately. The enforcer questioned workers one by one, not through anger or shouting, but with a strange calmness that made people more nervous than any threat could. They asked simple questions: where were you last night? What did you hear? Who did you see? But even the simplest questions felt like traps. Anyone who hesitated even for a moment was escorted to a quiet room in the south building, and no one who entered came out for hours. Rumors spread that the corporation believed the thief was still within the valley, hiding somewhere close, maybe even blending in with the workers. And for the first time in years, the silence of the people turned into fear thick enough to taste. Meanwhile, the thief stayed hidden in an old supply shed far from the main rigs, breathing slowly and listening to the distant hum of machinery. They knew the corporation would search everywhere, and they knew the enforcer was not someone who failed. They opened the stolen file again, eyes tracing the strange map and the warnings written in messy handwriting. Every word felt heavier now. Unstable formations, unknown activity, extreme caution, and the most alarming note: Do not expose. The thief didn't fully understand what the circle drawn underground truly meant, but they could feel something was horribly wrong. The valley itself was changing. At night, the ground trembled in short bursts like something was trying to push upward. The shadows around the rigs looked thicker than before, and even the animals had started acting strange. Birds avoided certain areas. Dogs refused to go near the old wells, and workers reported hearing soft pulses through the metal floors, like a heartbeat echoing from the deep. The enforcer noticed these changes too. They didn't talk about it, but their eyes lingered on the ground as if they were listening. The corporation tried to hide the truth, but even their strongest lies couldn't cover up what people could feel beneath their feet. The enforcer studied the workers, searching for any sign of guilt, but what they found instead was something far more dangerous: collective fear. The kind of fear that grows when something bigger than secrets begins to surface. And while the entire valley searched for the thief, the real danger continued to rise from below, slow but steady, like a sleeping giant turning in its bed. The thief clutched the file close to their chest, knowing they could not hide forever. The valley was changing, the corporation was tightening its grip, and something beneath the soil was waiting. The hunt was no longer just for a missing document. It was for control, for truth, and for a future the corporation was desperate to prevent. And the thief understood one thing clearly now: if they didn't act soon, Black Ridge Valley would face something far worse than corporate power. It would face whatever was waking beneath the earth. The night the valley finally broke its silence started without warning. One moment, everything was normal. The machines hummed, the ground stayed still, and the workers moved through their routines with tired steps. But then the lights across Black Ridge Valley flickered once, twice, and then died completely, leaving the entire land swallowed in sudden darkness. People froze where they stood, waiting for the generators to kick in, but nothing happened. The silence that followed felt like a weight pressing down on every chest, heavy and unnatural. The thief, still hidden near the old shed, felt the air change as if the valley had exhaled after holding its breath for too long. They gripped the stolen file tighter, sensing that whatever truth the corporation tried to bury was finally pushing its way out. Far across the rigs, a deep rumble rolled beneath the earth, slow at first, then growing stronger, making the ground tremble like something alive was stretching beneath the soil. Workers shouted into the darkness, stumbling as the vibration spread. Some ran for safety, others stood frozen, convinced this was the moment all the old rumors had been warning about. The enforcer, standing near the main control station, didn't move. They stared at the ground as cracks began to form in the dirt around their boots, thin at first, then widening as if something beneath was trying to break free. Their calm gaze wavered for the first time since arriving, replaced by a quiet, cold realization. The corporation had not been afraid of the thief, they had been afraid of what the file revealed. And now that fear was proving real. The air suddenly pulsed, a strange beat, slow and steady, echoing from somewhere deep underground. It felt too rhythmic to be a tremor, too alive to be a simple quake. Workers covered their ears as the pulse grew louder, vibrating through their bones. The thief backed away from the shed as a dark liquid seeped up through the cracks in the soil, thick and black, but unlike the oil they were used to. This substance moved as if it had a mind of its own, stretching and curling like living shadows. It reflected no light even when lanterns were lit. The liquid swallowed the glow completely, as if it absorbed everything it touched. People screamed and ran, shocked by the sight, but the liquid didn't chase them. It moved toward the rigs instead, sliding across the ground like a slow, powerful tide. The enforcer stepped back, unsure for the first time, watching as the dark substance gathered near the oldest well, the same location marked by the large circle in the thief's stolen file. The thief knew this was their moment. They ran toward the main road, waving the file in the air, shouting for the workers to listen. Most were too scared to hear, but a few turned, seeing the papers in the thief's hands glowing under the faint emergency lights. The thief shouted the truth as loud as they could. The corporation had known something lived beneath the valley, something ancient and unstable, and they drilled anyway. Not for oil, but for whatever they thought they could control. And now the thing had awakened. Workers stared at the file, stunned, terrified, realizing the corporation had never been honest. The ground rumbled again, stronger this time, and the dark substance began to rise from the well, forming a slow, towering shape that twisted like smoke but moved like muscle. It didn't have a face, but it felt aware, as if it sensed the world above for the first time in years. The enforcer took a step forward, not to fight but to understand, looking up at the rising form with eyes wide and fearful. The workers retreated, the thief clutched the file, and the valley itself seemed to hold still. For a moment, nothing moved. Then the narrator's truth became real in everyone's mind. Nothing stays hidden forever. Not lies, not secrets, not the things buried under the earth. And as the living darkness rose over Black Ridge Valley, the people finally understood that the real danger wasn't the corporation, or the thief, or even the stolen truth. It was the ancient force awakened by human greed, a force that had been waiting in silence, and now it was ready to step into the world above.